Tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Talk is up for Week 16. Can you believe it? We made it to Week 16. Woo! Omar Carmona is back with me. We recount Week 16. The Jets are on a winning streak. Jacksonville shows us how to tank. Somehow the NFC is still being figured out as we speak, and both our teams are out of the playoffs. But Christmas. We tell you what happened for our Christmas. And in a epic first ever, Omar goes on a rant. You're going to hear it all here on the Sunday Night Talk. Don't forget, my YouTube channel has my other show, Running It Back, where I interview people, colleagues, friends, enemies. Friends and enemies. Is on my YouTube channel. Go check it out. There are 20-something episodes, so you can go back and listen, and I do a new one every week, so look out for it. But right now, the Sunday Night Talk with me and Omar Carmona is ready for action. Week 16. The season is ending. We talk it out right here. All right, it is Sunday night again. The Sunday Night Talk. It is 7:45 West Coast time. Omar is here with me in the glorious man cave. Fourth quarter of the Sunday night game. 11 minutes left. Green Bay's up 33-14 over Tennessee. We will update along the way. But Omar, you're with me. How was your Christmas, man?
I mean, it's a different Christmas. Obviously, we didn't see all the family we wanted to see. Seems like I spent a lot of time on FaceTime and on Zoom, but we had a good time. It was, it's all about the kids. I got socks and T-shirts again. So now that just seems like the norm. How was yours?
Mine was good. It sounds like you had the full dad Christmas.
Yeah,
you got practical gifts. The kids got all the gifts, all the attention as it usually goes. And then come Christmas Eve, and I say this because I have all the friends that have kids. You don't get text from anybody till late Christmas Day. And it's usually
right.
like chilling, having a drink. We're done for the day. It's just such a finish line that Christmas night after everything is sort of calmed down.
Right.
It's so weird. At some point in your life, you start to feel bad for your own parents. You're like, oh man, this shit was hard.
Right.
I give it to you guys. The first 35 years of your life, it's a non-issue. You get to 35 plus, you're like, oh man, I experienced this as a child. And I remember all your reactions to it growing up. So my Christmas was good. And we spent most of it in search of eggnog. We were essentially last minute shopping for eggnog, and every store was out of it.
Oh, you should have come by. You should have told me. I had plenty at my house, and the kids didn't even like it this year.
What? Your kids don't like eggnog? What kind of
this
children?
Year, I don't know. They get in these stupid moods.
At what point in your Christmas day do you give up on the kid? Where you're like, just do whatever, go eat all the cookies. Go make a bunch of noise. As a parent, do you give up on the parenting Christmas Day at some point? How does that work?
I gave up.
When?
I gave up sometime around the 23rd.
So you don't even make it to Christmas Day. You give on the 23rd. It used to be.
This is what got me through Christmas. This gets me.
You're not alone. It used to be when we had school going for kids, you at least didn't have to sort of turn it on until they got out of school. Now it seems Christmas vacation effectively started October 30th.
Right. That's true. It feels that way.
So they're just going full tilt from October 30th on. Thanksgiving was like a mild speed bump, and then they just kept on rolling. Let's give a game update. 9 minutes left. Tennessee's in the red zone. We're going to see if they can make a game of this. So far, this game, I got excited. First of all, when I saw this game on the schedule tonight, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a fun game tonight. And then I see the snow on the field and I get even more excited. And then about a quarter into it, when you see nobody can really get any footing, the plane is slow, you're like, hey, this game sucks. What?
Right. Well,
I'm also in snow.
and it seems like the only guy can get footing, and as Chris Collinsworth has pointed out about 10 times tonight, is Devontae Adams' shoes. But the Packers, they started off hot. Tennessee kind of made a game of it at the end of the first half. But then it's been over. The Packers are going to easily win this game.
Yeah, it seems also in a snow game, at some point when the away team gets down by 10, you can feel it, just all the air's out of the bubble for the away. They're kind of like bagging it in. They're like, that's it. All right. We're seeing home field advantage though come to play, even though no crowd this year. We're seeing that there's still a home field with weather, and in this case, snow on the ground. So that's a good little indicator. We can see what a home field actually means. I will give extra points though to Ryan Tannehill, who had that 30-yard sort of touchdown run.
45 yards. That was a great run.
Was it 45? Yeah, he was running. And then I say, in fact, it was such a long run that at some point mid-run, I say, hey, when the hell did Tannehill run? When was he able to run?
Right.
And I think every quarterback knows it now. Once they get ahead of steam going, all right, don't fall down, don't fall down, don't fall down. We saw Daniel Jones trip on his own feet like a month ago. Now I think every quarterback has it in their head, like run it out, run it through the end zone.
Right. But
we'll see if Tennessee can make a game out of it. If not, otherwise it looks like the Pack is in cruise mode.
Yeah, for sure.
I had this Christmas experience today. My Christmas really doesn't end until I make it back home to my home in LA from visiting my family members. Tell me if you've encountered this couple on the airplane. You know how the flight attendant makes really dumb, bad jokes at the beginning of the flight with the instructions, and everybody sort of like is annoyed by it, but there's one couple that seems to laugh their head off at these jokes. And I sat next to this couple on one of my flights. The flight attendant's doing like, we love your money here at Southwest. And they start laughing their heads off, this couple next to me, at the joke. And somewhere around the fourth joke, where the couple's laughing, I start thinking to myself, all right, are they dumb or am I dumb? Who's enjoying life more right now? They are. And I'm sitting here mad all the time, miserable at every situation. And here they are having a fun time on December 27th.
Right.
I encountered that couple, vexed me for the entire flight. And then there's this, when you fly in the West and you go to enough airports, every time you will see one person who's a cowboy in the airport. You'll see it in the Western jeans, the Western shirt, cowboy hat, vest. And you're like, oh yeah, cowboys. We're in the West. We're going to see some cowboys on airplanes. It always trips me out.
I remember in airports, cowboys are also more likely to take, back before 9/11, of course. I remember seeing cowboys walk in with an 18-pack of beer, but they just picked
up. Really?
Oh yeah.
I thought you were going to say a pocket knife, on the belt.
Oh yeah, you could probably get away with that too back then. But yeah, it was interesting. I think I saw it more a lot, as I lived in San Antonio for a while, so definitely in Central Texas. Yeah, I'd see cowboys come in with, beer already on ice, and it was a good little time to travel.
I always forget that we live in a place where there are still farms and ranches. We knew it as a student in school because we went to schools where you had to wear uniforms. And every once in a while, you would get free dress day and you get to wear your jeans and t-shirts. Yep. But there'd always be that one kid that would show up and he'd be in cowboy shit. And you'd go, whoa, are you a cowboy? Yeah, be the one kid that would wear the Western shirt and you'd be like, oh, there's a window. I forgot.
Right. I remember that.
Yes. Let's update along the way, but let's do the your game, my game for the week. Do you want to start or shall I? I did the airplane watch for my game.
Oh, cool.
So I went Philadelphia at Dallas, another game that I looked at the schedule. I was like, am I really going to be stuck watching this game?
And you were
and I was, and then to my surprise, this was actually an exciting game. I actually liked it. And we saw Jalen Hurts air get let out of all the balloon.
Yep.
He had a really poor game. We saw Andy Dalton put up some numbers, good fantasy numbers from Dalton. And we see the Cowboys get back in the race, get back in the playoff race. You know how many texts I sent to friends October-ish about how bad the Cowboys were, and yet here we are, and they're knocking on the door of playoffs.
What was interesting about this game, and there were a couple teams out there today that I wanted to point out, and I'll point out later. But it's like you look at them perform, and you're like, where was this all year? I mean, I get the Cowboys. You lose Dak Prescott. And it's not great you having to go from Dak Prescott to Andy Dalton. No offense to Andy Dalton, although that probably is insulting. But but you look at the Cowboys, the Jets, the Falcons. It's like, well, you guys can play well, but you guys just you don't want to be having these games as your only games. Come week 16 of an already failed year. You know what I mean? But big win. Something to note on the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, he's good. He can play. I'm very, very impressed with him. He's still got some rookie things that he's working on. And I just think with a solid off season of intense film study, staying in shape and getting to know his receivers and spending time with his coaches, I think we can see a big boost from him in his second year. And I honestly think Carson Wentz has played his last game, his last down as a Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback.
We have a few QBs this year that are really poised for a potential great second year. You're right. Hurts is one because he's such a talent. He had a few series where he looked bad in this game. Not because of ability, but because of just awareness. So I think that can be coached up as well. But he had a few spots where he stood in the pocket way too long. Philadelphia had a million penalties where there was one point where they got a false start and then Dallas got an encroachment. And then on the next down, Philadelphia got another false start. It was really 7 minutes of non-gameplay for a while there in that game. So it was a kind of a more telling game as far as administration, potential for next year, and then just looking like Dallas maybe kind of might still. And then by the third quarter, is Dallas in the playoffs right now? Washington's losing right now. They could be in. Here was a fun part of the game though. I'm watching the game and it's the fourth quarter. It looks like Dallas is going to win. So they're talking playoffs and they're like, all right, Washington's got to lose next week and Dallas has got to win. And then they cut to Jerry Jones in his press box and then they go, still alive. And it sounded like they were talking about Jerry Jones's life instead of the Dallas playoff. I got a kick out. I was like, someone just turned that on, looking at old Jerry Jones looking through his glasses and they go, still alive. So really, really deep dive on that one. So Dallas still in it and actually looked good. Zeke Elliott was Zeke Elliott of old. He was feeding himself after every first down.
Michael Gallup played extremely well.
Cooper was good. And I'm not sure if they're piping in the Coop chant when he catches a ball and they all go Coop.
Right.
Which brings me to the thought that, like, if you ever have a son, name your son Bruce. Because if he ever gets booed at a game or something, you can always be like, no, they're saying Bruce, not boo. So a little word to the parents there. Dallas in the mix. Let's do a game update. 2:48. Same score, 33-14. Green Bay's up.
It's over.
It's looking like it. Go for your game. What do you got?
I caught that, because I was excited. I was feeling nostalgic. I was thinking, I want to watch a good Browns game. I want to watch them clinch a playoff spot. And how great is it that you got the 1-13 Jets to play, and you're trying to clinch a playoff spot, and they don't get the win. The Browns without their top 4 wide receivers. Okay, and there is a reason why we think that wide receivers are prima donnas. Okay,
Mm.
but because they do make a difference. Okay, I mean they you need a good wide receiving core to be successful in this league, especially now because this league has become pass happy. So with the Browns not having their top four, Baker Mayfield fumbled the ball 3 times, lost 2 of them. That's on him. And it's not like just because they were out 4 receivers, they had a chance to win the game. Missed kicks here. I mean, it was a tough game, but the Browns lost. The Jets kind of makes you wonder what the hell they're doing winning games when they're in the hunt to get Trevor Lawrence. But
The Jets can't even lose correctly.
yeah, that's the thing. They can't even lose correctly. But they're so bad they don't know how to tank. Um, but Jacksonville clinches the #1 spot. I think it's a foregone conclusion. Trevor Lawrence is going there. But again, just disappointment for the Browns. I think I'm going to give them a slight pass, though. I think when you're out 4 wide receivers, it's going to hurt. I don't care who you are. I think Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be Patrick Mahomes if his top 4 receivers were all out of the lineup. I mean, let's think about that. Let's say Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Hardman. Let's say those guys were out of Travis Kelce. They were out for because of COVID restrictions. Well, how good would Mahomes be? I mean, probably not as good. So Baker gets a slight pass, but dude, you can't fumble the ball 3 times like that and expect to win. Jets over the Browns.
Yeah, that was another odd game. Are the Jets? No, it wasn't Did the Jets win last week? Are the Jets 2-0?
They have a what's called a winning streak in professional sports.
I love to say if the season ended today, I'm going to add to that. If the season started 2 weeks ago and the season ended today, we'd be talking about the Jets being undefeated.
Right. if your performance in December was all that mattered, Jets would be looking at a first round bye.
Yes, they would. They'd be first in the division. We'd be considering letting fans into Jets home games. So yeah, different angle to it. If the season started 2 weeks ago and the season ended today, Jets home field for the playoffs.
For sure.
For our other games of the day, this week I put them in order of importance.
Okay.
And also, I'll touch on this real quick. My Las Vegas Raiders losing a horrible, horrible game to the Miami Dolphins Saturday night. We can officially give up on the Raiders. And I say, how a few weeks ago, the television caught John Gruden wearing an Oakland Raiders hat and he switches to, I say that becomes a running gag. I say every week someone tries to give him a hat that is non-team and see how long they can get him to wear it before he notices and switch it. So maybe next week, instead of, an Oakland Raider hat, we try and give him we try and put a Tampa Bay hat on him, his former team. Okay. And we just see if he notices it right away. And at some point, someone tries to put one of those propeller hats on him to see if he'll we got to throw like an obvious one in there from time to time to see if he can notice it. But I was thinking about, remember my rules for a game-winning drive included a big 3rd down conversion, a 4th down conversion, and a BS roughing the passer penalty. So the Raiders had this, except it was a well-justified roughing the passer penalty.
Right.
He just reaches out and grabs Fitzpatrick's face mask. He would have grabbed his chin strap if he could have as well.
Right, and absolutely. But
gave him extra yards.
Let's talk about that. We talked Tua. I mean, he struggled yesterday, and we talked about this.
They took him out again. Very weird.
You're gonna go with Tua. You're gonna mess with his confidence. But now he's been benched. Now what? Now maybe a 3rd time. The second time he was benched, it was questionable whether it was because of performance or because of an injury. But now he's been benched 3 times, and so now. And it looks like Fitzpatrick's has always been popular in the locker room. Now you got to ride Fitzpatrick to the very end. You have to, and you're in the playoffs. The Dolphins are going to be in the playoffs. So, I mean, I don't know. I think you ride with Tua from here on out.
I was wondering this. You know how there's an award, comeback player of the year? Is it possible for Fitzpatrick to win that award during the season? He got taken out of his starting role in the middle of the season, and now he gets it back. Can he get comeback player of the year within one season?
If anybody but Alex Smith wasn't on the ballot, so to speak, yes, he would become. He should be able to get comeback player of the year in a span of your coming back on two different occasions. Two parts of the season, the same season. But it's Alex Smith's award. Like I said, we talked about them possibly renaming the award the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year award, given what he came back from. But yes, good story there in Miami. Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the locker room loves him. So I'm going to be pulling now that my 49ers are not going to be in the playoffs. There are a handful of teams I'm going to be rooting for, and the Dolphins are one of them.
Also, we're getting into the time where we have to choose a favorite, non-favorite team for the playoffs.
Yeah,
somebody because our teams are totally out.
Let's think about that. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, but I've already made up my mind.
Also, second part of the most improved or comeback player of the year is that even an award, or is it a silent insult to the player who wins it? It's kind of like the most improved. You're like, oh, thanks. Wait, how bad was I? Right. And what if you're a player? Didn't Chad Pennington almost win it twice? Didn't he? Which is somewhere like, dude, I don't want to be eligible for the comeback player. I keep falling off the mountain and then having to climb back on.
Right.
So it may be one of the awards that is actually an insult.
Right.
I got for other games in order of importance.
Okay.
Tell me if you agree with my top three other games in order of importance. Indy at Pittsburgh, most important game of the day. Philly at Dallas, and Chicago at Jacksonville. Those are my three most important other games of the day.
Well, let's talk about those in order. Have we ever seen a team struggle, an 11-0 team struggle in the season the way the Pittsburgh Steelers have? And their first half was just pathetic against the Colts. They finally got it together, but I think that Pittsburgh team is just, they walked out with a division title today, but I definitely think that there are more questions than answers. Ben Roethlisberger does not, and he's got weapons, so we can't say, yeah, man, it's not like he doesn't have weapons. He's got plenty of decent receivers, and it just seems like maybe, I hate to say it, but maybe, I hate to say this about a two-time Super Bowl champion, but maybe he's holding the Steelers back at this point.
No Big Ben? The Big Ben clock is broken, is what you're saying?
It just looks like he can't throw the ball down the field. So I don't know. Look, that's an old draft class. Remember, he came in with Eli, he came in with Phillip Rivers, and they've had, Eli retired last year? Was it last year? Yeah, last year. And Father Time's not on their side anymore. So I think Pittsburgh really needs to plan for their future, and maybe bring in a young quarterback, so maybe Ben can mentor and tutor. But I think that definitely they do not look like an impressive division champion right now. Meaning, if I'm a coach for any of these other AFC teams, I don't feel as intimidated going in on a road game to a road game in Pittsburgh against these Steelers. I'm not as intimidated anymore.
I've said before that we got a final, Green Bay over Tennessee, 40-14, puts Green Bay 11-3. I've said before, the thing I hate about sports is you quickly realize that you're old. And Ben Roethlisberger fits that, because they talk about how old he is. He looks old. And then you hear the age, and he's younger than me. You're like, oh man, kind of like when you hear someone complain about their age and they're like, oh, you'll see what happens. You'll see what happens. You can't do what you used to. And then they tell you their age and they're younger than you. You're like, hey, wait a second. Are you getting old, or do you just live wrong? So he wins that award of he's getting old. And I get mad when the reporters say he's old.
Right.
Let's see. So that was the most important other game of the day. Philly, Dallas, we talked about. Third most important, Chicago at Jacksonville. They kill them. The Trubisky tour continues. Somehow he's good. Chicago's D's good. Chicago can run the ball, and Chicago's still in it with a threat for the playoffs. What do we not know about Chicago?
There, all of a sudden now people are saying how good Trubisky is, and now I I don't know. I don't know what to make of this team. They start off 5-1. They're rolling. Then they lose 6 in a row. They're 5-7. And next thing you know, now they won 3 in a row. So it's like what gives with this team? We'll see what they do. The Cardinals blew a golden opportunity. They lost to my 49ers. I want people to pay very close attention to the 49ers, that this is a good team. It's just they were just ravaged by injuries, okay? And I want to say that I think it was Troy Aikman on today's telecast of the Seahawks-Rams game that he said this is the best division in football, and you got to even give them credit because the Niners, who may be the best team in that division, didn't field a full team, and they're well coached. So, but again, I don't know what the Bears are going to do. It's like I want to say maybe they're dangerous. Maybe they are going to.
Maybe they're dangerous. Yes, yeah, maybe they're dangerous. It seems this season we really had an all-star break. Like the NBA has it in the middle of the season, and then one team sort of flips it. It seems like we had that this year, and the Bears are an example. Dallas could be an example as well. So I still don't know what to think of the Bears, but they're gonna, maybe they're dangerous, and maybe you don't want to play them.
Right.
Next important game I had was the New York Giants at Baltimore. I would call this the back on track game. Baltimore wins. I don't know if I would say impressively, but they win.
They won. But again, this isn't a great Giants team. They're up and coming. And how about this? I mean, the Giants have a chance to win the division next week. So
yeah,
let's see what happens. But Ravens, they won a game they should have. If what's going to be interesting is Lamar Jackson does not have a good playoff win yet. He doesn't have any playoff win yet. His 2 playoff games have been absolutely disastrous. Okay, so this is all fun and this is all great, Lamar Jackson, but you got to win in January, and let's see if he can pull off a win in the playoffs if they get in.
Right. They got to be looking toward playoffs right now. Like, all right, let's be ready for playoffs. Let's finally get that win and get on a rolling into the playoffs. And they took care of business today. Next game, Carolina at Washington. This is, NFC East. This is all part of my, I can't look away from this bad TV show division for me. This is my Carolina in the city. I know it's bad. I know everything is dumb. The jokes aren't funny, but I can't turn away. I have to watch it. So, and then Washington loses, opening the door for Giants and Cowboys next week.
Can I go on my rant though before we go on? Because this is the one thing I wanted to say during the show.
Yes, you may. We're entering the rant zone.
I don't know if Dwayne Haskins is going to watch this, okay? Well, let me tell you something, Dwayne Haskins. You go break COVID rules and you go to a strip club. You're also considered a co-captain on this team, okay? You go to a strip club after a loss, and your career hasn't been that impressive to begin with, all right? Your ass needs to be looking at film, all right? You need to be studying. You need to be doing your homework, and you don't need to be partying right after a loss, okay? It's just this immaturity. Remember, Dwayne Haskins was the guy that in his first win, he was out taking selfies when they needed somebody to go do victory formation and kneel on the ball. And they had to throw in the backup quarterback to go kneel. Okay. That's the maturity I'm talking about. He had other COVID restriction rule violations this year. He's been fined. He seems to, he likes living large. He likes looking the part, but he sure is not playing the part. And if you're gonna have a performance like that after the week you had, you know what? It's like one of those things. Look, I got busted. I better work my ass off this week in practice. Now I don't know if he did or didn't, but then to turn in a performance like that, I think Dwayne Haskins Ron Rivera just basically said goodbye to Dwayne Haskins. He will not pick up the ball again for the Washington football team. Whether or not, if Alex Smith is ready next week, he's a go. If he does not play next week, I think they're going to give it to the backup quarterback, Heineke. But Haskins will not play for the Washington football team again. And I will now. I'm not 99.999% sure. I am 100% sure Haskins is done, which is a bust because that's a 2019 top draft pick. He was drafted very high up there in the first round, and his career is done in Washington. And then for him at the very end to not even talk to the media, I'm sorry, bud, but if you had the kind of week you did with the partying and whatnot, you better look in the you better look get the microphones in front of you, and you need to look in that camera, and you need to apologize to the fan base, apologize to your family, the people you've let down, but most importantly, you got to apologize to your teammates. There's my rant. Dwayne Haskins, you're out of here, and I don't think any team should sign him. He needs to go
Ah,
to the CFL for a year.
I feel like I need a gavel to put a button on that rant.
As a little long-winded.
He's like, bam, bam, bam. That was Omar's rant. You know what? So there are books that need to be written, and no one has the balls to write them. First book needs to be entitled "Rules of the Strip Club." You
Don't
go to
get
the
caught.
strip.
Don't let them take pictures of you at a strip club.
Listen, as someone who has had a great appreciation for strip clubs over the years, there are certain rules. If you want to go to the strip club, that's fine. But number one, don't get caught. Don't get pictures taken of us. And thirdly, don't be the one taking the pictures of yourself.
Right.
So, you know how you teach a young man at some point how to tie a tie, how to drive a stick shift. Well, you need to teach a young man how to act in a strip club. And I'm just talking like etiquette for not being caught. Everything else is fine, but just how to act and not get caught. That book needs to be written, Rules in a Strip Club. And in the other book that needs to be written, some dad one day needs to write a book, How to Raise Hot Chicks, because it's a different mindset. You really got to teach hot chicks different behaviors over the years. And a dad has to teach it, but no one has the balls to write it. That's
Right.
why I'm a hero.
Right. That's a good
Next important game. This one could have been higher up. I bumped it down a lot. LA Rams at Seattle, and the Rams just another air out of the bubble game, and even a weird score, 9-20.
How is it that some days Jared Goff looks like what could be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but then sometimes he looks like he's a backup quarterback on a mediocre team at best. Uh, I can't figure this guy out. I think he's benefited from the Sean McVay school of offense. I think McVay is an outstanding offensive coach. He, along with Kyle Shanahan, I think are the two best offensive minds in the league. And I think guys like Goff, and to a certain extent, I think guys like Garoppolo have benefited from being with offensive geniuses like that. So I don't know. Again, they lost the Jets. The Rams did last week, and now they lost to Seattle. Even if they do make the playoffs, again, I don't think a team is there. I put them in Pittsburgh category. I don't think an opposing team is going to be too terrified of them coming in.
Yeah, that's fair. The Seattle's looking good. Rams are just looking like the wheels are falling off and they're coasting into the playoffs. And Goff seems to get some weird injury every week.
Yeah. So
what did you make of this frisky Atlanta team and KC?
If Atlanta, I mean, it's just one of those teams that they're so good. I mean, when Matt Ryan is hitting his targets, he's a good quarterback. He has been a good quarterback for most of his career. they got that Calvin. How dangerous would Atlanta be if they had a healthy Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley? I mean, who do you can't double team them both. You know what I mean? Those guys are some top notch wide receivers, but their defense has let them down. Although their defense played a great game today. I mean, when you hold Patrick Mahomes to 17 points in Kansas City, you've played a great game. I mean, how many teams? I don't. We could possibly look in the Kansas City the team schedule, but I mean, who holds the Chiefs to 17 points? And they needed a fourth quarter uh, final drive touchdown to win. I'm looking at their scoring. Even the game they lost, they put up 32 points. They score in the 30s. They have one game of 22. Yeah, 17 points was their lowest offensive output of the year. So Atlanta played a great game, and I feel bad for them. I hope, on a side note, I hope Raheem Morris gets a shot to stay the full time head coach next year. But we talked about this. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but maybe it's time for Matt Ryan to exit Atlanta.
We're thinking that, and I'm even watching the game, and he's like fist pumping, and he's jacked for every touchdown pass he throws, and he's still got a lot of fight in him.
He does.
Maybe he goes to another team, or maybe the coaching.
Another team. Let's do it for another team. And I'm listening to you, but this is my man cave. Let me just reach over here and grab another cold one, but I am listening.
Okay, go ahead. So my last two games I had in the least important games of the week, and I had two of them. Cincinnati at Houston, Denver at Los Angeles Chargers.
We don't got to talk too long about
we don't even need them. They were, as far as I'm concerned, alternative programming.
On a side note, though, J.J. Watt called out the rest of his teammates at the end of his game. He sounded pretty disappointed in the team's effort, and I think he's onto something there. I think there's only so much that Deshaun Watson can do. Cunningham, they're great linebacker, and Watt can do, but they need the other guys to show up. And I think that's been the problem with the Texans all year. And they're a team that's just, remember a few years ago when it always seems like when you want to believe in them, that's when they disappoint you the most. But not a good effort. But again, who cares? And the only thing I can say,
who cares? I say who cares? Denver Chargers. All Chargers. Right. Yeah. Guys, I'll go check on you later.
I can only say it comes out of that is Herbert, conservative, looked great again. I'm telling you, next year, my fantasy football leagues, I am going to be targeting him after everybody jumps on Aaron Rodgers, after everybody jumps on Mahomes, and all these guys. I want Justin Herbert on my squad.
Yeah, this is turning into a Justin Herbert NFL Pro Day for the next two games. Let's just see him make all the passes so we can evaluate him for next season. Call it exhibition games for those two. Okay, on to the questions for the week. Let's buzz through these. Here's question number 1. Should the NFL have a Christmas Day game every year? They had one this year that I totally forgot about. The NBA usually owns Christmas Day, but should the NFL have a Christmas Day game?
I will say this. I was watching the Christmas game over the so the Christmas game this year, it was on Friday, correct? It was the Saints. Do I have that right?
Vikings? Saints played Saints Vikings, yeah.
And there were five NBA games, and the way the NBA does it is they put the superstars. It doesn't matter who they're playing, but the superstars are all going to play. LeBron's going to play, Kevin Durant and Kyrie's going to play, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, they're all playing. I was more interested, even though it was a blowout of a game, I was more interested in the football game. So yes, I wouldn't mind. It'd be interesting what happens when the Christmas Day falls on a Wednesday. I mean, do you tell the Sunday team that, you got to get ready, you got to get ready. You can't put them ready for, get them ready for a Wednesday game if they played Sunday. So concessions have to be made as far as maybe them playing, on a Friday before the Christmas Day game. But I like Christmas Day games for the NFL.
Yeah, me too. Make it happen. I don't care what happens. Just make it happen. The NBA owns it, which is fun and all, but it's so early in the NBA season that it doesn't matter a lot. It's just kind of a novelty. So I think the NFL would be really, really fun. Okay, question number 2.
Okay.
Bears. Do we need to hedge our bets on the Bears? We crucified them all year.
I was brutal with them all year. You were too. And I think since we're idiots, we might as well, they're going to stick it to us.
Let's go all in on the Bears now. Let's say
at least one playoff game they'll win.
I don't have a problem with that bet. Here's question number 3.
If they won playoff games with Rex Grossman, why wouldn't this team win?
Yeah, we've been wrong all year. Why? Let's just flip it. Let's just go all in. Here's question number 3. Who do you want to win the NFC East?
Easily. I have my answer. Tom Goat Brady. I would like Tampa Bay to be hosting the for the first time ever. I think the only time it's come close is that the Niners one year, I think it was in '84, played in Santa Clara. At Stanford Stadium, I think.
Oh, for the Super Bowl. I gotcha.
It's in Tampa Bay this year. I would like Tom Brady to be playing in Tampa Bay a Super Bowl game, and I would love them to come out of the. And hey, I know it was the Lions. I ain't get it's the Lions, but those guys looked impressive on Saturday morning. They looked great.
I think that'd be a good one because all the Tom Brady haters would have more hate, and all the Tom Brady supporters would be doubling down. And then we got the added bonus of no team has ever played a Super Bowl in their home stadium. It's Florida, so we've got a very good chance of having a crowd.
Let's say you're a sports writer. Let's say you're a sports writer, okay? And Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl, and they have 2 weeks between the championship games and the Super Bowl. And you call Belichick for a comment. What do you think he's going to tell you if you get him on the phone?
There's nothing I don't like about this. There's nothing I don't like. It sounds just like so much fun. People are going to speak. They're going to speak their minds. They're going to misspeak. There's going to be tweets. This is a powder keg waiting to happen. Here's the 4th question. The Rams. Are the Rams the Jets of the second half of this season? Are they that bad as the Jets?
They are that bad. They're not playing well. But I also meant we also talked about the Steelers not playing well. Even though they got the win today, but they lost 3 in a row before winning today. So I don't know. I think there's some pretty bad teams that have a case to arguably being the Jets. The Jaguars have lost 14 straight as of after today. So now I think the argument is that the Jaguars have definitely earned the top pick.
They have, and I think earned is a good word for that too.
Yeah, and let me tell you something, Jacksonville fans, your team knows how to tank.
That's right. There used to be something in this world called pride. Here is, we finished the question segment every week with this one. Now we almost know the whole picture. Division leaders right now are Washington, Green Bay, they've clinched. New Orleans, they've clinched. Seattle, they've clinched. Washington is the question. Do they win the NFC East?
The Eagles are they have all teams in that division, since it always seems the NFC East comes into the last, it always comes down to the last game of the season for 2 of 4 mediocre teams. That next week is the Eagles Super Bowl. Okay. So they are going to come at the Washington football team with everything they have, which definitely opens the door for the Cowboys Giants. Okay. I'm going to make a prediction.
Okay. Prediction.
The winner of the NFC least is going to be, and I hate to say this, is going to be the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, we need the gavel. I'm getting a gavel next week. There's too many salient points being made. So we think Washington slips, Dallas wins the NFC East. Okay, the AFC side. AFC side, the division leaders are Buffalo, clinched, Pittsburgh, clinched, Tennessee, Kansas City, clinched. Does Tennessee win its division?
Yes, for sure. I think that they got to play the Texans, so I like Tennessee's chances.
All right. Playoff picture almost complete. Let's go to the awards section. I don't even have a theme for this week's awards. This is just off the top of my head. First reward. This is the reverse valedictorian award for this week, and it goes to 3 teams. These were the bottom of the class teams for the week. Detroit got blown out. Cleveland lost to the Jets. Jacksonville loses another game to the Bears. Reverse valedictorian award goes to the bottom 3 here. I don't know if you could throw anybody else. I pains me. I might even throw in the Raiders to the bottom of the class, but those were my reverse valedictorians for the class this week.
Yeah, I agree. They're the bottom.
Yeah, no other, yeah, they're bottom. Just bottom. They've given up on school, on graduating. They're showing up late to every class. Reward number 2. This one is called the LL Bean Award. Goes to Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth tonight for their slick winter wear. Did you get a look at those?
Didn't they look great? And here you and I are in these raggedy V-neck T-shirts. But
we know nothing about winter wear on our neck of the woods.
Not the way those 2 guys do. Those 2 guys look fat. They deserve to be on a catalog. So they look fantastic today.
Scarf, good layering, turtleneck.
The shades of brown. It was just perfect for them.
It's very hard to be mobile and speak and do stuff in winter wear, and they pulled it off.
They did. Good for them.
Okay, third award. This one's called the Bridesmaid Award, and I'm giving it back to Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's back. He's been the bridesmaid all year. He's pretty much been the bridesmaid his whole career, if you think about it. Right. And yet he's a starting QB on a team that could very well be in the playoffs.
Right. So I agree with you.
Yes. Always. And who doesn't not like rooting for the backup QB? We love backup QBs.
Not Dwayne Haskins.
It's the title of my third book. Who doesn't love a backup QB? Okay, Monday night, we can make a prediction. Interesting matchup that probably looked good on paper about 2 months ago. The 11-3 Buffalo Bills at the 6-8 and eliminated New England Patriots.
There's the key words, and eliminated. Buffalo, the New England Patriots will not even throw up a punch. They are going to let the Bills win, pad their win stats. Although now, the number 2 seed isn't as valuable as it used to be, because now you're still going to have to play a first week of a playoff game. But now New England is talking about what their position in the draft is going to be. So I could see New England losing these last 2 games. I think the Jets are going to end the season on a 3-game win streak next week.
Right. The Jets are going to play their best football of the year.
And New England is now just trying to do their best to get the higher pick that they'll be allotted. So I like the Bills, and I don't see much of a competition here.
Bills are giving 7. Cover or
they'll
do
cover.
the Bills? They'll cover. I can see New England playing their second string QB as well in this game. And I also can see the announcers finding a way to compliment Bill Belichick on doing that.
Right.
We're yet to reach the zone where anybody talks bad about Bill Belichick. He's still in good graces. So I see the Buffalo covered. Although last week we were off on our prediction, but I'm going to stick with the line and say Buffalo covers. New England plays a bunch of scrubs. Cam sits down, and we still find a way to compliment Bill Belichick for his planning for future seasons.
Yeah.
His planning for season 25 of his tenure, 2024.
Yes, sir.
What a week. This NFL season is rounding off. And I think we know 3/4 of the puzzle now. Last week was NFC East is the last little bit of the puzzle where you still have no idea what the image is going to look like.
I think that, and by the way, the league has announced that it is going to be Washington at Eagles at the Sunday night game. So,
so our Sunday night talk may have to include a live read or live re-encounter of that game.
We are going to be talking about a possible new division champion.
Okay, so we might be a new angle for next week then.
So it's going to be a good game because we're going to know what team would win the NFC East if Washington loses. So that's going to be great. That is kind of exciting.
Okay, so the NFC East comes to a head next week. Maybe we do that live. Oh, good. We got some things to think about.
Yeah.
So the Jets here's our storylines. Do the Jets continue their winning streak?
3 games in a row. Yes, sir.
Who wins the NFC East? And then we'll need one last storyline going into it. So big stuff. Big questions will be answered. Well, you'll have another rant. I'll write another wildly insensitive book. And we'll put a bow in the season.
I like it.
It's happening. Sunday Night Talk week. What are we in? 16?
Week 16.
Week 16 in the books. Thank you, Omar. Have a good week.
You too, brother.
That is the show for week 16, everyone. The Sunday Night Talk. Woo, did we talk it out? That's what you do every Sunday if you want to make it through Monday, realistically. Man, next week, there are some interesting storylines. I'm excited for the week to see how it all shakes up. I think we got some plans as well for next week to change it up, give it a new angle. The season's coming to an end. We're going to see some playoff teams. We're going to figure out who's good, who stinks, all that stuff. Be on the lookout for it. And go listen to my other YouTube shows. Go check it out on my YouTube channel, Running It Back with Patrick Ramirez. Hey, that's me. For the Sunday Night Talk, for Omar Carmona, for myself, thank you for listening, everybody. See you next week.